This article is from Euronews.com. Warner Brothers Discovery weighs sale after unsolicited buyer interest. Now, we have known that the possibility of this sale has been on the cards for some time. I think it's interesting to consider what the potential ramifications could be, especially regarding James Gunn's new DC universe, which of course began this year with the Superman reboot starring David Corenswet. The article says, after months of speculation, Warner Brothers Discovery has confirmed it is reviewing strategic options from a full sale to partial deals amid reports of interest from Paramount, Netflix, and Comcast. Warner Brothers Discovery, home to HBO, CNN, and DC Studios, has signaled it may be open to selling all or parts of its business just months after announcing plans to split into two companies. In a statement on Tuesday, the entertainment and media giant said it had begun a review of strategic alternatives in light of unsolicited interest from multiple parties, both for the entire company and for Warner Brothers specifically. So I can't see how such a potential buyout wouldn't result in a shift of focus for the company and a retooling, of where DC is going. What would the potential impact be creatively? That's interesting to consider. The article says, citing anonymous sources familiar with the talks, the Wall Street Journal recently reported that Paramount approached Warner Brothers Discovery with a majority cash offer in late September, but that Warner CEO David Zaslav rebuffed the initial overtures. CNBC has also reported that Netflix and Comcast are among other interested parties, citing unnamed sources. A sale of all or part of Warner Brothers Discovery would mark a significant shift in the US media landscape, which is already trending towards a concerning level of consolidation, said Mike Prue, VP Research Director at Forrester. Yeah, and another example of that would be the Skydance Paramount merger, which happened earlier this year. The article says he pointed to streaming in particular, noting that on one hand, a deal could help scale the company's services to compete better with other players in the industry. On the other, consumers could face fewer choices controlled by a handful of corporate giants. Yeah, all these kinds of mergers and consolidations sound like the potential creation of bigger and bigger behemoth media juggernauts. And as it says here, Warner Brothers Discovery was created just 3 years ago when AT&T spun off Warner Media, which then merged with Discovery Communications in a $43 billion deal. Any larger transaction could attract antitrust scrutiny, but as with other recent mega mergers and proposed deals, could yet find success under the Trump administration. Obviously, antitrust law is specifically concerned with preventing the creation of monopolies and situations where only a handful of companies dominate the market. But let's take a look now at this article from cosmicbook.news. James Gunn questions his DCU future amid WBD sale. Scoop confirmed. In a new interview with YouTuber Baba Talks, the Superman director hinted that while he has long-term plans for the DCU, it may not be him leading them, comments that arrive as Warner Brothers Discovery faces an imminent sale. During the conversation, Baba Talks asked Gunn how far his DCU story arcs extend beyond Man of Tomorrow being the next Superman film in the series. It says, which he films next year, the same year his contract expires. Baba Talks, how far do these arcs go? Like, do they culminate in Man of Tomorrow, or can we expect them to go further than that? Gunn, yes, they definitely go significantly further than Man of Tomorrow. Gunn appeared to cut himself off before completing the phrase, if I stay, then continued, or possibly, if I say. Okay, so whether or not that'll be me, big smile, that's able to fulfill that promise, laughing, depends on a lot of things in life. But yeah, look, I don't want to read too much into that conversation. But I think, potentially the sale would likely shake up the direction of the studio, and that could lead to a reevaluation of the content schedule going forward with respect to where the DC universe is going. The article says the comments come as reports indicate Warner Brothers Discovery is on the verge of being sold, with Paramount Global and Skydance among the potential buyers. Insiders say the deal could close in the coming months, putting all divisions, including DC Studios, under review. And I suspect that part of that review has got to be the consideration of the financial underperformance of the recent James Gunn directed Superman film, which did not make its money back at the box office, as we've discussed several times at this point. Yes, it made over $600 million during its theatrical run, but it did not cover its significant production budget and marketing costs. It wasn't the strong financial start the studio would have wanted for a new franchise reboot, though that's not to say the film won't go on to make its money back from the likes of merchandising, Blu-ray and DVD sales, and of course on-demand and streaming as well. As previously reported, Gunn's current DC deal expires next year, and with no other confirmed DC films or TV shows in development aside from a couple of animated series, the future of his Superman family reboot remains uncertain. Our insiders have suggested that if new leadership takes over WBD, Gunn's DCU would likely be among the first projects restructured or cancelled. And look, I have to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing that happen. I have no interest in seeing more of these James Gunn DCU films. I mean, Superman was enough for me. I didn't love it. I think the film has a lot of problems. I know a lot of you really like that film, but yeah, it wasn't for me. Gunn seems to bring a very Guardians of the Galaxy kind of energy to his films, which I think gets old, and it just has that vibe. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Guardians of the Galaxy. I just don't want to see that being the sort of tonal, creative blueprint for future DC films. I don't like the cheap gags and the Marvel type humor, and the characterization often feels quite shallow to me, with characters being written very cartoonishly, quite underdeveloped, quite one-dimensional at times. Maybe that suits the comic book genre at times, but I personally would have liked to have seen the continuation of Zack Snyder's more serious, more mature interpretation of the source material. It wasn't for everyone. I understand why it failed. And I don't ever expect to see the return of that, incidentally. I don't think the DCEU is going to come back. It wasn't financially successful in the long run. And it was rebooted as a result, which was understandable. It's a shame that the reboot resulted in the DCU. That's all I'm saying. But regardless, with an upcoming sale of Warner Discovery, is James Gunn's DCU in trouble? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified of future updates. Hit that like button. Share the video out there. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.